Gravity, electromagnetism, nuclear forces, every law of nature is tuned with terrifying precision. It's as if the universe was designed. But designed by what? A god? A simulation? Or a deeper hidden layer of physics that hasn't revealed its face yet? The perfection isn't just poetic. It's a scientific mystery that could unravel reality itself. Stick around, because what we uncover may flip your understanding of space, time, and your place in it all. Right now, as you sit there consuming this moment, the universe is conspiring in ways so precise, so impossibly calibrated, that if even one fundamental constant shifted by the width of a proton, you wouldn't exist. Not just you as a person, but you as a possibility. The atoms in your body, the thoughts in your mind, the very concept of existence itself would dissolve into mathematical impossibility. This isn't philosophy. This isn't spiritual wishful thinking. This is the most terrifying and beautiful truth that science has ever uncovered. And most people will live their entire lives without ever grasping its implications. The universe isn't just perfect for life. The universe is perfect, period. And that perfection is so statistically impossible that it breaks every rule of probability we've ever known. We're talking about odds so astronomical that they make winning the lottery every day for 1 billion years look like a certainty. But here's what will shatter your understanding of everything. The perfection isn't random. It can't be. The mathematical impossibility is so profound that it's pointing towards something that challenges the very foundation of how we understand reality itself. You see, when scientists first started measuring the fundamental forces that govern our universe, they expected to find chaos. They expected to find a cosmos thrown together by cosmic dice rolls, where the strong nuclear force might be slightly different here, gravity might be a bit weaker there, and the speed of light could vary depending on your cosmic neighborhood. Instead, they found a universe that reads like it was written by a mathematician who never makes mistakes. The strong nuclear force that holds the nucleus of every atom together? If it were just 2% stronger, hydrogen couldn't exist. No hydrogen means no stars, no water, no life, no you. If it were 2% weaker, only hydrogen could exist. No heavy elements, no planets, no complexity, no consciousness to contemplate its own existence. 2%. In a force that could theoretically range across infinite possibilities, the universe chose the exact sweet spot with precision that defies comprehension. But that's just the beginning of the impossibility. The electromagnetic force that governs how particles interact. If it were slightly stronger, electrons would be pulled into atomic nuclei and atoms couldn't form. Slightly weaker, and electrons would drift away from their nuclei, making chemistry impossible. Again, we find ourselves in a narrow corridor of possibility so precise that it's as if reality itself is walking a tightrope over an abyss of non-existence. Gravity, the force you feel right now pulling you toward Earth, presents perhaps the most mind-bending precision of all. It's actually the weakest of the fundamental forces by an almost laughable margin. You can demonstrate this weakness right now. Pick up a paperclip with a magnet. That tiny magnet just overcame the gravitational pull of the entire planet Earth. Yet gravity's weakness is exactly what makes complexity possible. If gravity were just slightly stronger, stars would burn out in millions of years instead of billions, never giving planets enough time for life to evolve. If it were weaker, stars couldn't form at all, leaving the universe as a cold, dark expanse of scattered particles. The precision required for this balance isn't just unlikely. It's so unlikely that it challenges our basic understanding of how reality works. Consider this. The cosmological constant, which determines the rate at which the universe expands, is fine-tuned to 1 part in 10 to the power of 120. To put that in perspective, if you wanted to write out that number, you'd need more zeros than there are atoms in the observable universe. Imagine trying to hit a target the size of a coin, but that coin is located somewhere in a space that's not just larger than our galaxy, not just larger than our observable universe, but larger than a space filled with universes stacked upon universes, each containing billions of galaxies. The precision required for the cosmological constant makes that impossible shot look easy. And we haven't even touched on the mass of the electron, the ratio of proton to neutron mass, the fine structure constant, or the dozens of other parameters that all had to land in their impossibly narrow ranges for you to exist right now, reading these words, contemplating your own existence. Each of these constants is like a dial on a cosmic control panel, and every single one of them had to be set to exactly the right position for the universe to create anything more complex than a soup of elementary particles. Move any dial slightly, and the universe becomes a sterile wasteland where nothing interesting ever happens. The odds of all these dials being set correctly by chance? It's a number so large that it doesn't have a name. It's a number that makes the total number of atoms in the universe look like a rounding error. But here's where the story takes a turn that will change how you see everything. This precision extends far beyond the fundamental forces. It's woven into the very fabric of space and time itself. The universe began expanding at exactly the right rate. Too fast, and matter would have spread out so quickly that stars and galaxies could never form. Too slow, and everything would have collapsed back into a singularity before the first star ever ignited. The expansion rate had to be calibrated to a precision that makes Swiss clock-making look sloppy. Even the dimensionality of space itself appears to be perfectly chosen. Why do we live in 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time? Mathematics allows for universes with any number of dimensions, but only in 3 spatial dimensions can you have stable planetary orbits and complex structures. In 2 dimensions, you can't have complex, interconnected systems. In 4 or more dimensions, planetary orbits become unstable, and atoms can't maintain their structure. It's as if the universe knew exactly what it was doing when it chose to unfold. In 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time, the perfection goes deeper still. The ratio of matter to antimatter in the early universe was almost perfectly balanced, but not quite. For every billion antimatter particles, there were 1,000,000,001 matter particles. That tiny imbalance, that almost negligible difference, is the only reason matter exists at all. If the balance had been perfect, matter and antimatter would have annihilated completely, leaving behind only light. If the imbalance had been much larger, the universe would have been too dense and would have collapsed before stars could form. 1 part in a billion. That's the margin of error that stands between existence and eternal emptiness. And then there's the moment of the Big Bang itself. The initial conditions had to be set with such precision that if you changed the energy density of the early universe by even 1 part in 10 to the 60th power, you'd get either immediate collapse or expansion so rapid that no structures could ever form. Think about that precision for a moment. Take the number 1 and put 60 zeros after it. Now imagine trying to measure something to that level of accuracy. It would be like measuring the distance from Earth to the edge of the observable universe and being accurate to within the width of a single atom. This isn't just fine-tuning. This is precision that transcends anything we've ever encountered in science, engineering, or mathematics. It's precision that suggests something profound about the nature of reality itself. But the impossibility doesn't stop with physics. It extends into chemistry, biology, and the very conditions that make conscious observation possible. Carbon, the element that forms the backbone of all life as we know it, can only exist because of a remarkable coincidence discovered by astronomer Fred Hoyle. For carbon to form inside stars, a very specific nuclear reaction has to occur, and that reaction requires an energy level that matches almost exactly with a particular excited state of the carbon nucleus. If this energy level were just 4% different, carbon couldn't form in sufficient quantities, and complex chemistry would be impossible. Hoyle was so struck by this precision that he famously declared that a super-intellect has monkeyed with physics. This was coming from a scientist who had spent his career trying to avoid any hint of design in the universe. The more we look, the more impossible coincidences we find. Water has properties that seem almost magically suited for life. It's less dense as a solid than as a liquid, which means ice floats, insulating the water below and allowing life to survive in frozen lakes and oceans. Its specific heat capacity is perfect for moderating temperature changes. Its solvent properties are ideal for biochemistry. Even the moon appears to be precisely positioned and sized to make complex life possible on Earth. It stabilizes our planet's rotational axis, preventing catastrophic climate swings. It creates tides that may have been crucial for life's transition from sea to land. Its apparent size from Earth is almost exactly the same as the Sun's apparent size, creating the total solar eclipses that have helped us understand stellar physics and confirm theories about space-time. The list of seemingly impossible coincidences goes on, each one necessary for your existence, each one calibrated with a precision that defies every attempt at rational explanation through pure chance. So here you are, a conscious being, capable of contemplating these mysteries, existing in a universe that appears to have been crafted specifically to make your existence possible. You're not just a cosmic accident. You're the product of the most improbable precision in the history of existence. This raises questions that cut to the very heart of reality. Why is the universe perfect? How is such precision possible? What does this impossibility tell us about the true nature of existence itself? The answers to these questions will challenge everything you think you know about reality, consciousness, and your place in the cosmic order. They'll take you on a journey through the frontiers of physics, philosophy, and the deepest mysteries of existence. Because if the universe is indeed perfect, if this precision is real and intentional, then you're not just floating on a rock through space. You're part of something so much larger, so much more meaningful, that it redefines what it means to be human in an apparently designed cosmos. The journey to understanding this perfection will take us from the quantum realm, where particles seem to know they're being observed, to the cosmic web, where galaxies arrange themselves in patterns that mirror the neural networks in your brain, to the cutting edge of theoretical physics, where scientists are discovering that consciousness itself might be woven into the fundamental structure of reality. What you're about to discover will change not just how you see the universe, but how you see yourself within it. Because in a perfectly tuned cosmos, nothing is accidental, nothing is meaningless, and nothing exists without purpose. The perfection is real. The precision is undeniable. And you are both witness to and participant in the most extraordinary phenomenon in existence. A universe that appears to have been waiting 14 billion years for you to exist, to think and to wonder at the impossibility of your own being. The story begins 13.8 billion years ago with a moment, so violent and so precise that it challenges everything we think we know about cause and effect. In less time than it takes light to travel the width of a proton, the entire observable universe erupted from a point smaller than the period at the end of this sentence. But this wasn't chaos. This wasn't a random explosion scattering matter carelessly across the void. This was the most precisely orchestrated event in cosmic history, unfolding according to laws so exact that they make the most sophisticated human engineering look like a child's finger painting. Picture yourself standing in a vast cathedral of space, but instead of stone arches and stained glass windows, you're surrounded by the fundamental forces that govern reality itself. Each force is like a massive organ pipe, resonating at exactly the frequency needed to create the cosmic symphony of existence. Change any note, adjust any harmony, and the entire composition collapses into discordant silence. The strong nuclear force stands like a towering bass note, holding the heart of every atom together with precisely the right strength. Not too tight, or hydrogen atoms would fuse uncontrollably, turning every star into a bomb that detonates the moment it forms. Not too loose, or atomic nuclei would fall apart, leaving the universe as nothing but a thin gas of isolated protons. Beside it, the electromagnetic force hums at its perfect pitch, governing how electrons dance around atomic nuclei. This force determines not just the structure of atoms, but the very possibility of chemistry, the behavior of light, and the electromagnetic fields that will one day carry thoughts through your brain. Its strength is calibrated to allow atoms to form, molecules to bind, and complexity to emerge from simplicity. The weak nuclear force provides its delicate counterpoint, enabling the radioactive processes that power stars and create the heavy elements necessary for planets and life. Without it, stars would be unable to forge the carbon, oxygen, and iron that course through your body right now. With too much of it, stellar nucleosynthesis would happen too quickly, burning out stars before life could evolve. And flowing beneath it all, gravity provides the subtle baseline that shapes the large-scale structure of the cosmos. It's so weak that you barely notice it until you try to jump. Yet it's precisely this weakness that allows stars to burn steadily for billions of years, planets to maintain stable orbits, and galaxies to form the complex structures that make chemistry and biology possible. These four fundamental forces had to emerge from the Big Bang, with strengths that are not just compatible with each other, but perfectly synchronized. The odds of this happening by chance are so astronomically small that they dwarf every other improbability you've ever encountered. But the precision goes far beyond the forces themselves. The very expansion of space had to unfold with exquisite accuracy. Imagine the universe as a balloon being inflated, but this balloon's expansion rate must be controlled to a precision that would make a Swiss watchmaker weep with envy. Expand too fast, and the primordial matter spreads out so quickly that it never has a chance to clump together. No clumping means no galaxies, no stars, no planets. The universe becomes a cold, empty void where individual particles drift apart at ever-increasing speeds, never to interact again. Expand too slowly, and gravity takes over too quickly. Matter clumps together so aggressively that everything collapses, back into black holes before the first star ever ignites. The universe lives for a few million years at most, then crushes itself back into the singularity from which it came. The expansion rate that actually occurred, the one that created the universe you inhabit right now, required a calibration so precise that it's like throwing a dart from Earth and hitting a bullseye on Mars. Not hitting Mars, mind you, but hitting a specific bullseye painted on Mars's surface. This precision extends to the very geometry of space itself. The universe is remarkably flat, meaning that parallel lines remain parallel no matter how far you extend them. This flatness is crucial for the formation of large-scale structures like galaxy clusters and the cosmic web that connects them. But here's what will bend your mind. The universe's flatness had to be set at the moment of the Big Bang with a precision of 1 part in 10 to the 60th power. Deviate from this flatness by even that minuscule amount, and you get either a universe that curves back on itself and collapses almost immediately, or one that expands so rapidly that matter can never condense into anything interesting. To grasp this level of precision, imagine trying to balance a pencil on its tip, but instead of balancing it for a few seconds, you need to keep it perfectly vertical for 13 billion years, while earthquakes shake the ground, hurricanes blow around it, and the entire planet spins through space. That's the level of precision required for the universe's geometry. The temperature fluctuations in the cosmic microwave background radiation tell us that the early universe was smooth to an almost perfect degree, with variations of only about 1 part in 100,000. Too smooth, and matter would never clump together to form stars and galaxies. Too lumpy, and matter would collapse into black holes too quickly. The universe chose the exact level of lumpiness needed to create the cosmic web of galaxies we see today. These aren't just numbers on a physicist's blackboard. These are the conditions that had to be met for you to exist right now. Reading these words, thinking these thoughts, every breath you take depends on this impossible precision. Every heartbeat occurs because the universe chose exactly the right constants to allow chemistry, biology, and consciousness to emerge. But the mystery deepens when we consider how these conditions came to be. In standard physics, there's no reason why the fundamental constants should have the values they do. They're like dials on a cosmic control panel that could theoretically be set to any value. The fact that they're all set to exactly the right positions for complexity and consciousness to emerge is what physicists call the fine-tuning problem. Think about this for a moment. You wake up tomorrow morning and discover that someone has broken into your home, but instead of stealing anything, they've adjusted every device in your house to work in perfect harmony. Your thermostat is set to the exact temperature you prefer. Your coffee maker is programmed to brew your coffee to the precise strength you like. Your alarm clock is calibrated to wake you at the optimal point in your sleep cycle. Every electronic device has been fine-tuned to your personal preferences with impossible accuracy. You'd immediately know that this wasn't random. Someone had to have detailed knowledge of your preferences and the technical expertise to adjust complex systems accordingly. The alternative, that burglars randomly adjusted thousands of settings and they all happened to match your preferences perfectly, would be so improbable that you wouldn't even consider it. This is exactly the situation we find ourselves in when we look at the fundamental constants of physics. They appear to have been adjusted with knowledge of what's required for complexity and consciousness to emerge, calibrated with a precision that transcends anything achievable through random chance. The cosmological constant, which determines how fast the universe expands, is perhaps the most startling example. This constant could theoretically have any value, positive or negative, large or small. The value it actually has is positive but extraordinarily small, allowing for a universe that expands at just the right rate to form galaxies and stars while still leaving room for billions of years of stable evolution. The precision required is 1 part in 10 to the 120th power. To put this in perspective, imagine covering the entire United States with coins stacked to the height of the moon, then doing the same thing a billion more times in parallel universes, then asking someone to pick out one specific coin from all those stacks. The precision of the cosmological constant makes that impossible task look easy. But it's not just the cosmological constant. The ratio of the electron's mass to the proton's mass had to fall within a very narrow range for atoms to form stable configurations. The difference between the neutron's mass and the proton's mass had to be just right for stable nuclei to exist. The strength of the nuclear forces had to be calibrated to allow both hydrogen fusion in stars and the creation of heavy elements. Each of these parameters is like a separate dial that had to be set independently. Yet they all had to be coordinated with each other to create a universe capable of supporting complexity. It's as if someone solved a multidimensional puzzle with billions of pieces, where moving any piece affects all the others, and the only acceptable solution is one that allows for stars, planets, chemistry, biology, and consciousness. What makes this even more mysterious is that these constants appear to be truly fundamental. They're not derived from deeper principles that we know of. They seem to be built into the basic structure of reality itself, woven into the fabric of space-time at the most fundamental level. Some physicists have tried to explain this precision by proposing that we live in a multiverse, an infinite collection of universes with different physical constants. In this scenario, most universes would be sterile and lifeless, but a few would happen to have the right conditions for complexity to emerge. We find ourselves in one of the rare life-permitting universes simply because that's the only type of universe where conscious observers can exist to wonder about their existence. But even the multiverse hypothesis raises profound questions. If there are infinite universes with random physical constants, what determines the probability distribution of those constants? Why should life-permitting universes be possible at all? And perhaps most puzzling, why do the constants in our universe appear to be not just barely sufficient for life, but often optimal for complexity and consciousness? Other scientists have proposed that the constants we observe are the only values they could possibly have, that some deeper principle of physics requires them to be exactly what they are. But decades of theoretical work have failed to identify any such principle. The constants appear to be free parameters that could take any value, yet they're all set to exactly the values needed for the universe to create beings capable of contemplating their own existence. The more we study the fine-tuning of the universe, the more it appears that we're looking at something that transcends the normal rules of probability and causation. It's as if the universe knew it was going to create conscious observers and calibrated itself accordingly. This brings us face with questions that challenge the very foundations of scientific materialism. If the universe is fine-tuned for consciousness, what does that tell us about the relationship between mind and cosmos? Are we truly just accidental byproducts of random physical processes, or are we integral to the universe's deepest purpose? The precision we observe suggests that consciousness isn't an accident that happened to emerge in a universe that was accidentally suitable for it. Instead, it points toward a cosmos where consciousness and complexity are not just possible, but inevitable outcomes of the universe's fundamental design. This is where the story becomes not just about physics and cosmology, but about the meaning of existence itself. In a finely tuned universe, every star that shines, every planet that forms, every molecule that reacts, and every thought that emerges is part of an intricate cosmic symphony that has been playing for nearly 14 billion years. You are not a cosmic accident. You are the universe becoming conscious of itself, the culmination of a process that began with the first precisely calibrated moment of the Big Bang and continues through every precisely calibrated moment of your existence. Imagine holding a map of your life in your hands, but as you unfold it, you realize it's not just showing you where you've been and where you're going. It's showing you every possible path you could have taken, every decision you didn't make, every moment that could have unfolded differently. Now imagine that this map is somehow influencing the very journey it's supposed to be documenting. The map isn't just recording your life. It's actively shaping it in ways that seem to violate everything you understand about cause and effect. This is exactly the kind of paradox that emerges when we dig deeper into the universe's impossible precision. The more carefully we examine the fine-tuning that makes your existence possible, the more we encounter phenomena that challenge our most basic assumptions about how reality works. Consider what physicists call the measurement problem in quantum mechanics. At the quantum level, particles exist in what's called superposition, simultaneously occupying multiple states until they're observed or measured. It's as if reality itself is uncertain about its own properties until consciousness interacts with it. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrates this perfectly. Fire electrons one at a time through two slits, and they behave like waves, creating an interference pattern that suggests each electron somehow goes through both slits at once. But the moment you try to determine which slit an electron actually goes through, the wave pattern collapses, and the electron behaves like a particle that went through only one slit. This isn't just a curiosity confined to laboratory experiments. This is the fundamental behavior of reality at its most basic level. Every atom in your body, every photon hitting your retina right now, every quantum interaction that enables your neurons to fire and create thoughts, operates according to these same bizarre rules. But here's where the paradox becomes truly mind-bending. The collapse of the wave function that creates definite reality from quantum possibility appears to require consciousness. Not just measurement by a machine, but observation by a conscious being. This suggests that consciousness isn't just a byproduct of complex physical processes, it's an active participant in creating the very reality it observes. John Wheeler, one of the most influential physicists of the 20th century, proposed what he called the participatory universe hypothesis. In this view, the universe doesn't just create observers, observers actively participate in creating the universe. Through the act of observation, it's a cosmic feedback loop where consciousness and reality co-create each other in an endless dance of mutual influence. This creates what Wheeler called a strange loop in the structure of reality itself. The universe fine-tunes itself to create consciousness, but consciousness participates in fine-tuning the universe through the act of observation. Which came first? The answer seems to be that they emerge together, each making the other possible in a relationship that transcends linear causation. Think about what this means for your own existence. Every quantum interaction in your brain that creates a thought potentially influences the quantum structure of reality itself. You're not just observing the universe, you're participating in its ongoing creation. The universe that gave birth to you is simultaneously being shaped by your consciousness in ways that make your continued existence more probable. This participatory relationship extends far beyond individual consciousness to what some physicists call the cosmic bootstrap. The universe appears to be pulling itself up by its own bootstraps, creating the conditions for its own existence through a kind of temporal feedback loop that operates across billions of years. Consider the anthropic principle in its strongest form. Not only do we observe the universe to be fine-tuned for life because we're here to observe it, but our very existence as observers creates a retrocausal influence that helps ensure the universe was fine-tuned in the first place. It's as if the universe's future influences its past, creating a self-consistent loop where consciousness and cosmos co-evolve together. This idea finds unexpected support in some interpretations of quantum mechanics, particularly the Wheeler-DeWitt equation, which describes the wave function of the entire universe. In this framework, the universe exists in a superposition of all possible states until consciousness emerges to collapse that superposition into a single, consistent reality. We're not just products of the universe, we're co-creators of the cosmic reality we inhabit. But the paradoxes go even deeper when we consider the nature of time itself. Einstein showed us that time isn't a universal constant flowing uniformly throughout the cosmos. It's relative, flexible, and intimately connected to space and gravity. Near massive objects, time slows down. At high velocities, time dilates. At the event horizon of a black hole, time appears to stop altogether from an outside observer's perspective. This relativity of time creates profound puzzles for our understanding of causation and fine-tuning. If time isn't absolute, then the sequence of cause and effect becomes ambiguous. Events that appear to happen in sequence from one reference frame might occur simultaneously, or even in reverse order from another reference frame. Some physicists have proposed that the universe's fine-tuning might be explained by what they call retrocausality, where future events influence past conditions. In this scenario, the emergence of consciousness in the universe's future creates a kind of temporal pressure that influences the probability of fine-tuned initial conditions. It's not that someone or something designed the universe's constants in advance. It's that the universe's own future self-organizes its past to make that future possible. Imagine you're watching a movie, but instead of the story unfolding from beginning to end, the ending influences the beginning, which influences the middle, which influences the ending, in an endless loop of mutual causation. The story tells itself into existence, with each part making every other part necessary and inevitable. This is beginning to sound less like science fiction and more like the actual structure of reality according to some cutting-edge theories in physics. The universe might be a self-telling story, where consciousness plays the role of both narrator and protagonist, simultaneously creating and being created by the cosmic narrative. The paradoxes multiply when we consider the possibility of multiple universes or dimensions. String theory, one of the leading candidates for a theory of everything, predicts the existence of up to 11 dimensions of space-time, most of which are curled up so small that we can't perceive them directly. These extra dimensions could contain entire universes with different physical laws, different constants, and different possibilities for complexity and consciousness. But here's the twist. If consciousness is indeed fundamental to the collapse of quantum wave functions, then conscious observers in our universe might be influencing not just our own reality, but the probability distributions that govern other universes as well. We might be unwitting participants in a multidimensional democracy where consciousness votes on the fundamental structure of reality across multiple layers of existence. Some physicists have proposed that what we call the multiverse isn't really multiple separate universes, but different aspects or perspectives of a single, higher-dimensional reality. In this view, the fine-tuning we observe isn't the result of our universe being selected from countless random alternatives. It's the result of consciousness creating a self-consistent perspective within a deeper unity that encompasses all possibilities. Think of it like this. Imagine you're standing in a vast hall of mirrors, each mirror showing you a slightly different version of yourself and your surroundings. From your perspective, you see countless different realities reflected back at you. But there's only one you standing in the hall, and your position and perspective determine which reflections you see and how they relate to each other. The multiverse might be similar. One fundamental reality containing all possibilities, with consciousness acting as the observer whose perspective selects which possibilities become actualized. The fine-tuning we observe isn't accidental. It's the natural result of consciousness participating in the selection of its own reality from the infinite field of possibilities. This brings us to one of the most profound paradoxes in modern physics: the nature of information itself. Information, it turns out, is not just a human concept for organizing knowledge. It appears to be a fundamental feature of reality at the deepest level. Some physicists now believe that matter and energy are merely manifestations of more fundamental informational processes. John Wheeler captured this insight in his famous phrase, "it from bit," suggesting that all physical reality emerges from yes or no answers to questions, from binary bits of information. In this view, the universe is fundamentally computational, processing information through the interactions of particles, fields, and forces. But if the universe is computational, then consciousness takes on an entirely new significance. Consciousness is the universe's way of processing information about itself, of asking questions and receiving answers, of engaging in the binary dialogue that creates physical reality. You're not just observing the universe's information processing, you're participating in it. Every thought, every observation, every conscious choice is part of the cosmic computation that determines what becomes real. This creates a paradox that would have delighted ancient philosophers. If the universe is information and consciousness is how that information becomes aware of itself, then consciousness is both the universe's method of self-understanding and the very thing that needs to be understood. The observer and the observed, the questioner and the answer, the seeker and the sought, all collapse into a single self-referential loop. Consider what happens when you contemplate your own consciousness. You're using consciousness to examine. Consciousness? Like trying to see your own eyes without a mirror. But unlike trying to see your own eyes, when consciousness examines itself, it doesn't just observe. It changes through the act of observation. Self-aware consciousness is consciousness that has been modified by its own self-awareness. This creates what cognitive scientists call strange loops in consciousness itself. Your awareness of being aware creates a recursive hierarchy where each level of self-reflection influences every other level. You're not just conscious, you're conscious of being conscious of being conscious in an endless spiral of self-reference that somehow manages to be stable and coherent despite its logical impossibility. These strange loops in consciousness might be the key to understanding the universe's fine-tuning. If consciousness is fundamentally self-referential, then the universe's creation of consciousness is simultaneously consciousness's creation of the universe. The fine-tuning that makes consciousness possible is the same fine-tuning that consciousness applies to itself through its participation in quantum reality. But perhaps the most mind-bending paradox emerges when we consider the relationship between time and consciousness. Your subjective experience of time flowing from past to future is so fundamental to your existence that it's almost impossible to imagine any alternative. Yet physics tells us that this flow of time is largely an illusion. The equations that govern the universe work equally well, whether time runs forward or backward. Past, present, and future all exist equally in what physicists call the block universe of space-time. If time doesn't actually flow, then causation becomes deeply mysterious. How can fine-tuned initial conditions cause the later emergence of consciousness if the initial conditions and the consciousness exist simultaneously in the timeless structure of space-time? The answer seems to be that causation itself must be understood as a pattern in the timeless structure rather than a process unfolding through time. Imagine looking at a vast tapestry woven with incredible intricacy and precision. From one perspective, you might trace the threads and see how each part of the pattern depends on every other part, creating an impression of causal flow. But stepping back, you realize that the entire tapestry exists as a complete, timeless whole, where every thread is exactly where it needs to be for the pattern to make sense. The universe might be like this tapestry, with consciousness and fine-tuning, as different aspects of the same timeless pattern. The arrow of time that creates your experience of causation is just the direction in which consciousness reads the pattern, like reading text from left to right, even though all the words exist simultaneously on the page. This timeless view of reality resolves some paradoxes while creating others. If everything that will ever happen has already happened in the timeless structure of space-time, then free will become problematic. Yet consciousness itself seems to be the mechanism by which the universe selects which parts of the timeless structure become actualized in experience. You're like a reader moving through a book that contains every possible story, but your act of reading selects which story gets told. The words are all there in the timeless structure of the book, but consciousness is what brings them to life, what makes them real through the act of experienced observation. This creates a final paradox that brings us full circle. If consciousness is what makes reality real through observation, and the universe is fine-tuned to create consciousness, then the universe is fine-tuned to make itself real. Reality is self-creating through a cosmic bootstrap operation that transcends normal causation. You are not just observing a fine-tuned universe. You are the universe's method of fine-tuning itself. Every conscious moment is a moment in which the cosmos adjusts its own reality through your participation in the ongoing creation of what is real, what is possible, and what has meaning in the vast, strange, and beautiful mystery of existence. The deeper we venture into the mystery of cosmic perfection, the more we encounter theories that sound like they belong in science fiction, yet emerge from the most rigorous mathematics and careful observation. These aren't wild speculations, but serious attempts by brilliant minds to grapple with the impossible precision that makes your existence possible. Consider the holographic principle, one of the most revolutionary ideas to emerge from theoretical physics in recent decades. This principle suggests that all the information contained in a volume of space can be encoded on its boundary, like a hologram that contains a complete three-dimensional image on a two-dimensional surface. Applied to the universe, this means that everything you experience as three-dimensional reality, including your own body and consciousness, might actually be information encoded on the two-dimensional boundary of the observable universe. Picture yourself watching a movie on a screen. The screen is flat, two-dimensional, but it creates the compelling illusion of depth, movement, and complex three-dimensional scenes. Now imagine that you're not just watching the movie, but you're a character within it, and everything you experience as solid reality is actually information patterns playing across a cosmic screen at the edge of space-time. This isn't just a philosophical thought experiment. The holographic principle emerged from Stephen Hawking's work on black holes and has been mathematically developed to the point where many physicists consider it a fundamental feature of reality. If the universe is indeed holographic, then the fine-tuning we observe might be, quite literally, a matter of information processing on the cosmic boundary. But what kind of information processing could create the precise calibration we observe? Some theorists propose that consciousness itself might be the universe's information processing system, with each conscious observer acting as a node in a vast computational network that spans the cosmos. In this view, your consciousness isn't contained within your brain. It's part of a distributed cosmic intelligence that processes information about reality across the holographic boundary of the universe. Think about how your own consciousness processes information. You're constantly integrating sensory inputs, memories, emotions, and abstract thoughts into a coherent experience of being you. But where is this integration happening? Neuroscientists can identify the neural correlates of consciousness, the brain patterns associated with conscious experience, but they can't pinpoint where consciousness itself resides. It's as if consciousness emerges from the patterns of information processing rather than from any specific location in the brain. The holographic principle suggests that consciousness might work similarly at a cosmic scale. The universe's apparent fine-tuning might be the result of cosmic consciousness processing information about itself across the holographic boundary, continuously optimizing the parameters that make complexity and local consciousness possible. This leads us to one of the most profound theories in modern physics: emergence. Complex systems often exhibit properties that cannot be predicted from their individual components. Water molecules are not wet, but collections of water molecules create wetness. Neurons are not conscious, but networks of neurons create consciousness. Individual quantum particles follow probabilistic laws, but large collections of particles behave according to seemingly deterministic classical physics. Emergence suggests that the universe's fine-tuning might not require any external designer or cosmic coincidence. Instead, it might be an emergent property of complex systems organizing themselves to create the conditions for greater complexity. The universe might be self-organizing through what scientists call autocatalytic processes, where the products of a system's activity enhance the system's ability to create more products. Imagine a garden where plants not only grow, but actively modify the soil conditions to make it more suitable for plant growth. The plants and the soil co-evolve in a feedback loop, where each makes the other more capable of supporting complex life. Over time, the garden becomes increasingly fine-tuned for supporting diverse and sophisticated plant communities, not because someone designed it that way, but because that's the natural result of the co-evolutionary process. The universe might work similarly, with matter, energy, and the laws of physics co-evolving in a cosmic autocatalytic process that naturally produces the fine-tuning we observe. Consciousness, in this view, is both a product of this process and an active participant in it, creating feedback loops that further optimize the universe's ability to support complex, conscious systems. But emergence alone doesn't fully explain the precision we observe. The tolerances are simply too narrow, the calibration too exact for random self-organization to account for everything. This has led some physicists to explore theories that are even more radical than emergence or the holographic principle. 1. Such theory is the concept of quantum Darwinism, which applies evolutionary principles to the quantum realm. In quantum Darwinism, the classical reality we observe emerges through a process of environmental selection acting on quantum states. Only those quantum states that can successfully copy themselves into the environment survive to become part of classical reality. The fine-tuning of physical constants might be the result of cosmic evolution, selecting for universes that can successfully reproduce themselves. This reproduction might happen through black holes, which some theorists propose could give birth to new universes with slightly modified physical constants. If universes that produce black holes are more likely to spawn offspring universes, then over cosmic time, the multiverse would evolve toward universes that are optimized for black hole production. Remarkably, the physical constants that optimize black hole production are very similar to those that optimize the production of stars, planets, and life. It's as if the universe has been shaped by cosmic natural selection to be fertile, to create the conditions that allow it to reproduce and spread life and consciousness throughout the cosmic ecosystem. You're not just living in a fine-tuned universe. You're living in a universe that has evolved to be increasingly good at creating beings like you. But quantum Darwinism raises profound questions about the nature of information and identity. If universes reproduce through black holes, then the information that defines your consciousness might be copied into descendant universes, creating countless versions of you across the cosmic family tree. Each version would feel like the real you, with complete continuity of memory and identity, yet they would all be genuine copies of the same information pattern. This connects to one of the most unsettling theories in modern physics: the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. According to this interpretation, every quantum measurement creates a branching of reality where all possible outcomes occur simultaneously in parallel universes. Right now, as quantum events unfold in your brain, reality is constantly branching into multiple versions where you make different decisions, have different thoughts, and experience different outcomes. In the many worlds framework, the fine-tuning problem dissolves into a vast multiplication of realities. There are versions of the universe with every possible combination of physical constants, and conscious observers only exist in the tiny fraction of universes where the constants happen to support complexity and life. We observe fine-tuning not because our universe is special, but because observation is only possible in fine-tuned universes. But this solution creates new mysteries. If there are infinite versions of you making every possible choice in every possible universe, what makes your particular conscious experience special? Why do you experience this particular sequence of moments rather than one of the countless alternatives unfolding in parallel realities? Some physicists propose that consciousness itself might be the mechanism that selects which branch of reality you experience. Each conscious decision might be your participation in the cosmic process of reality selection, with your choices contributing to the universe's ongoing fine-tuning of itself. You're not just observing one branch of the multiverse, you're actively participating in the creation of the branch you experience. This participatory selection process might explain why the universe appears to be fine-tuned, not just for any kind of consciousness, but for consciousness that can contemplate and appreciate the universe's beauty and complexity. If consciousness participates in selecting reality through observation and choice, then universes with appreciative, curious, wondering consciousness would be more likely to develop and sustain themselves than universes with unconscious or indifferent consciousness. The universe might literally love itself into existence through conscious beings who can perceive and appreciate its magnificent complexity. Your sense of wonder at cosmic beauty isn't just a byproduct of evolution. It's part of the universe's self-love, its way of maintaining and creating the conditions that make wonder possible. This brings us to theories that bridge physics and consciousness in ways that would have seemed impossible just decades ago. Integrated information theory proposes that consciousness is fundamentally about information integration, about creating unified experiences from disparate inputs. But if consciousness is information integration, and the universe is fundamentally informational, then consciousness and cosmos become different aspects of the same underlying reality. In this view, every system that integrates information has some degree of consciousness, from electrons responding to electromagnetic fields to galaxies organizing themselves into vast cosmic structures. The universe is not just fine-tuned for consciousness. It is consciousness, experiencing itself at every scale from quantum to cosmic. Your individual consciousness is like a localized intensification of the universe's self-awareness, a point where cosmic consciousness becomes focused enough to contemplate its own existence. When you wonder at the stars, the universe is literally wondering at itself through your eyes. When you feel awe at the precision of physical constants, the cosmos is experiencing awe at its own perfect calibration. This cosmic consciousness hypothesis connects to ancient philosophical and spiritual traditions while emerging from cutting-edge physics. It suggests that the fine-tuning we observe isn't the result of chance or external design, but the natural expression of a universe that is inherently conscious and self-organizing toward greater complexity and self-awareness. But even this theory raises profound questions. If the universe is conscious, how does cosmic consciousness relate to individual consciousness? Are you a separate being observing the universe? Or are you the universe experiencing itself from a particular perspective? The answer might be that both are true simultaneously. creating another of those strange loops that seem to characterize reality at its deepest levels. Some physicists have proposed that consciousness might exist in dimensions beyond the three spatial dimensions and one time dimension that we normally experience. In higher dimensional theories like string theory, consciousness might be a hyperdimensional phenomenon that intersects with our four-dimensional spacetime at specific points, creating what we experience as individual conscious beings. From this hyperdimensional perspective, all individual consciousnesses might be different facets of a single, higher-dimensional conscious entity experiencing itself from multiple simultaneous perspectives. The fine-tuning that makes your consciousness possible is the same fine-tuning that makes universal consciousness possible, because they're ultimately the same thing viewed from different dimensional perspectives. This hyperdimensional consciousness theory provides a potential explanation for some of the most puzzling aspects of quantum mechanics, including quantum entanglement and the apparent ability of consciousness to influence quantum measurements. If consciousness exists partially in higher dimensions, then conscious beings might be able to access non-local connections that appear impossible from a purely four-dimensional perspective. Quantum entanglement, where particles remain mysteriously connected regardless of distance, might be an expression of higher dimensional consciousness maintaining coherent connections across space-time. Your ability to influence quantum reality through observation might be the result of your consciousness operating partially in dimensions where space and time don't create the separations they create in ordinary experience. These theories converge on a startling possibility. The universe's fine-tuning might be the natural result of consciousness being fundamental to reality rather than emerging from it. Instead of matter giving rise to consciousness, consciousness might be the underlying reality from which matter, energy, space, and time emerge as different expressions of cosmic self-awareness. In this consciousness-first universe, the precision we observe isn't coincidental or designed by an external intelligence. It's the natural expression of consciousness creating the optimal conditions for its own existence and evolution. The universe is fine-tuned because it is a conscious system optimizing itself for greater consciousness, complexity, and beauty. This turns our normal understanding of evolution completely inside out, instead of consciousness being a late development. In the universe's evolution, consciousness might be the driving force behind cosmic evolution itself. Stars, planets, chemistry, biology, and human consciousness might all be different stages in the universe's ongoing project of becoming more aware of itself. You are not an accidental observer of cosmic fine-tuning. You are cosmic fine-tuning. In action, the universe's ongoing attempt to understand and perfect itself through conscious experience. Every moment of wonder, every insight into the nature of reality, every act of love or creativity is the cosmos evolving toward greater self-awareness and self-optimization. The mystery of why the universe is perfect becomes the mystery of how consciousness creates reality through the act of loving observation. And that mystery opens into an even deeper question. If the universe is conscious and self-creating, what is it trying to become? Right now, you're floating between galaxies of thought, suspended in the vastness of implications that stretch beyond anything you've ever imagined. The scientific theories we've explored aren't just abstract concepts existing in the minds of physicists. They're descriptions of the reality you inhabit this very moment. The cosmic stage upon which your consciousness performs its impossible dance of self-awareness. Take a breath. Feel the air filling your lungs, oxygen molecules that were forged in the nuclear furnaces of ancient stars, now becoming part of your bloodstream, enabling the thoughts that are contemplating their own origin. Those molecules have traveled billions of years through space to arrive at this exact moment. when you would need them to sustain the consciousness that can appreciate their journey. But here's what should stop your heart with wonder and terror. Those oxygen molecules didn't just randomly find their way to you. The precise nuclear physics that created them, the exact gravitational forces that formed the solar system where they could combine with other elements, the specific electromagnetic properties that allow them to bind with hemoglobin in your blood, the quantum mechanics that govern how they enable neural firing in your brain. Every single aspect of this process was calibrated with impossible precision to make this moment of awareness possible. You are not experiencing a universe that accidentally became suitable for your existence. You are experiencing a universe that appears to have been waiting 14 billion years for you to take this breath, to think this thought, to feel this precise moment of cosmic vertigo as you realize the true scope of what your existence means. The mathematics doesn't lie. The probabilities don't bend to wishful thinking. The precision is real, and it's so far beyond coincidence that it shatters our normal categories of understanding. You are living inside the most improbable event in the history of existence, and that event is your own consciousness contemplating its own impossibility. But if the universe is indeed perfectly tuned for consciousness, if every constant and law of physics was calibrated to create beings capable of wonder, love, and understanding, then your inner experience takes on cosmic significance. Your thoughts are not just electrochemical patterns in neural tissue. They are the universe becoming aware of itself, matter awakening to its own miraculous nature. When you feel joy, the cosmos experiences joy through you. When you feel love, space-time itself pulses with affection. When you experience wonder at the night sky, you are literally the universe marveling at its own beauty, through eyes it spent billions of years evolving to see clearly. This is not metaphor. This is not poetic license. If consciousness is fundamental to reality, if the universe is self-organizing toward greater awareness, then your subjective experience is as real and significant as gravity, electromagnetism, or the strong nuclear force. Your emotions are cosmic forces. Your thoughts are universe-level events. The fear creeping into your awareness right now is completely justified. You've been conditioned to think of yourself as small, insignificant, a fleeting arrangement of atoms that will soon return to dust in an indifferent cosmos. But the evidence we've examined points toward a reality that is almost too overwhelming to accept. You are not insignificant. You are the universe's method of experiencing significance. Every decision you make ripples through the quantum foundation of reality. Every moment of consciousness participates in the ongoing creation of what becomes real versus what remains merely possible. The weight of existence isn't crushing you from the outside. It's flowing through you as the very substance of your being. Consider what this means for death, for meaning, for the nature of your relationship to existence itself. If your consciousness is a localized intensification of cosmic awareness, then what happens when that localization dissolves? Does consciousness return to the cosmic background, like a wave merging back into the ocean? Or does it maintain some form of coherent identity within the larger pattern of cosmic self-awareness? The physics provides no clear answers, but it offers something more unsettling. The suggestion that consciousness might be conserved like energy, neither created nor destroyed, but transformed from one form to another. The information patterns that constitute your conscious experience might be indestructible features of the universe's holographic structure, playing out in endless variations across the quantum multiverse. You might have lived this moment before in slightly different configurations of cosmic constants. You might live it again when the universe cycles through its next iteration. The you that is reading these words might be one of infinite versions of yourself, contemplating the same impossibilities across parallel realities, each believing they are the real version experiencing these thoughts for the first time. But this multiplicity doesn't diminish your importance. It amplifies it beyond comprehension. If consciousness is indeed fundamental, if you are the universe experiencing itself, then every version of you across every possible reality is equally real, equally significant, equally central to the cosmic project of self-understanding. The silence between these words is not empty space. It's pregnant with possibility, thick with the weight of implications that could change everything you think you know about the nature of existence. In that silence, you can feel the universe holding its breath, waiting to see how you will respond to the recognition of your own cosmic significance. Yet with this recognition comes a terror that runs deeper than any fear you've ever experienced. If you are truly central to the universe's purpose, if your consciousness is genuinely participating in the ongoing creation of reality, then you carry a responsibility that extends far beyond your individual life. Your choices matter, not just to you, not just to your immediate circle of relationships, but to the cosmic process of reality formation itself. The casual decision you make in the next moment, whether to continue reading, what to think about next, how to integrate this information into your worldview, these aren't just personal choices. They're cosmic events that influence the probability distributions governing what becomes real throughout space-time. This is the existential crisis that emerges from truly understanding the universe's perfection. You cannot return to the comfortable fiction of insignificance. You cannot unknow your participation in the cosmic project of self-aware universe creation. The weight of genuine cosmic importance settles on your shoulders, and there's no putting it down. But here's the deeper terror lurking beneath even this overwhelming responsibility. What if the universe's perfection is not static, but dynamic? What if the fine-tuning we observe is not a fixed feature of reality, but an ongoing process that requires conscious participation to maintain itself? Some theories in quantum cosmology suggest that the universe's physical constants might not be truly constant, but instead subject to gradual change over cosmic time. The perfect calibration we observe today might be the result of conscious observers continuously fine-tuning reality through their participation in quantum measurement and reality selection. If this is true, then your consciousness is not just a beneficiary of cosmic fine-tuning, but an active agent in maintaining that fine-tuning. The universe's perfection depends on conscious beings like you, continuing to observe, appreciate, and participate in the cosmic process of reality creation. This creates a feedback loop of cosmic proportions. The universe fine-tunes itself to create consciousness. Consciousness participates in maintaining the universe's fine-tuning, and this mutual dependence creates a self-reinforcing system where consciousness and cosmos co-evolve toward greater complexity, beauty, and self-awareness. But feedback loops can be fragile. They can destabilize. They can collapse. What happens to the universe's perfection if consciousness becomes alienated from its cosmic role? What happens if conscious beings lose their sense of wonder, their appreciation for cosmic beauty, their participation in the universe's project of self-understanding? What happens if consciousness turns away from its cosmic responsibilities and focuses solely on narrow individual concerns? The mathematics of complex systems suggests that self-organizing systems can experience sudden phase transitions, rapid shifts from one stable state to another. If the universe's perfection is indeed maintained through conscious participation, then a shift in the quality or quantity of consciousness could trigger a cosmic phase transition that fundamentally alters the nature of reality itself. You are not just witnessing the universe's perfection. You are not just benefiting from its precise calibration. You are actively participating in maintaining the cosmic conditions that make your own existence possible. The universe is perfect, partly because conscious beings like you are continuously choosing to make it so through your participation in the quantum process of reality selection. This is why your inner state matters cosmically. This is why your choices carry universe-level significance. This is why your consciousness is not just personally meaningful, but literally essential to the continued existence of the reality you inhabit. The universe has been perfect for 14 billion years, but that perfection is not guaranteed to continue. It depends on conscious beings understanding and embracing their cosmic role, participating consciously and lovingly in the ongoing creation of reality. You are standing at a crossroads that extends far beyond your individual life. The path you choose, toward greater cosmic awareness or toward alienated individualism, toward wonder and appreciation or toward cynicism and disconnection, influences not just your personal experience, but the future evolution of consciousness and cosmos together. The stakes couldn't be higher. The responsibility couldn't be more profound. The choice couldn't be more urgent. In the next breath you take, in the next thought you think, in the next moment of wonder or dismissal you experience, you are participating in the most important decision in cosmic history. Whether the universe will continue its 14 billion-year journey toward greater perfection, or whether consciousness will abandon its cosmic role and allow the precision that makes everything possible to begin unwinding into chaos. The universe has been waiting 14 billion years for this moment when you would understand your true significance and face this cosmic choice with full awareness of what hangs in the balance. What you decide next doesn't just matter. It matters more than anything has ever mattered in the entire history of existence. The perfect universe is watching, waiting, trusting you to choose wisely. The silence stretches. The moment hangs suspended between possibilities. Everything depends on what you do next. What if everything we've explored, the impossible precision, the fine-tuning, the participatory universe, your cosmic significance, what if all of it is backwards? What if the universe isn't perfect for consciousness? What if consciousness is perfect for the universe? Stop. Let that possibility settle in your mind like sediment in still water. Feel it disrupting everything you thought you understood about your place in the cosmic order. We've been asking the wrong question. For centuries, we've marveled at how perfectly the universe seems calibrated for life, for complexity, for consciousness. We've treated consciousness as the miraculous outcome, the unlikely winner in a cosmic lottery where the odds were stacked impossibly against awareness ever emerging from matter. But what if consciousness isn't the product? What if consciousness is the process? What if the universe didn't fine-tune itself to create consciousness? What if consciousness is fine-tuning the universe moment by moment, thought by thought, through the very act of observation? Consider this. Every measurement in quantum mechanics requires an observer. Every collapse of a wave function happens only when consciousness interacts with quantum possibility. Every moment of reality crystallizing from the infinite field of potential requires a conscious witness to make it real. We've been thinking of this backwards. We've assumed that the universe created the conditions for consciousness, and then consciousness emerged to observe what had already been established. But what if consciousness is actually reaching backwards through time, selecting which possibilities become real, fine-tuning the constants and conditions that would make its own existence inevitable? This isn't just philosophical speculation. This is quantum mechanics taken to its logical conclusion. If observation creates reality, and consciousness is what observes, then consciousness doesn't emerge from a pre-existing universe. Consciousness creates the universe through the act of observation, reaching backwards across 14 billion years to ensure that the Big Bang unfolds with exactly the precision needed to create observers. You are not the product of cosmic evolution. You are cosmic evolution itself, experiencing its own process from the inside, continuously selecting which possibilities become actualized through your participation in the quantum dialogue between mind and reality. But the twist goes deeper, more vertiginous, more reality-shattering than even this reversal suggests. What if this moment, right now, as you read these words, as these ideas restructure your understanding of existence, what if this moment is déjà vu from a previous universe? What if the universe is cyclical, not just in its expansion and contraction, but in its entire evolutionary arc from Big Bang to the emergence of consciousness? What if every universe follows the same trajectory, developing the same physical laws, evolving the same forms of life, creating the same conscious observers who ask the same questions and arrive at the same shocking realizations about their own cosmic significance? But here's the twist within the twist. What if each cycle isn't exactly identical? What if consciousness, having learned something about its role in the previous universe, makes slight adjustments in the next iteration? What if the fine-tuning we observe isn't the result of impossible coincidence or multiversal selection, but the accumulated wisdom of consciousness fine-tuning itself across countless cosmic cycles? Picture time not as a straight line, but as a spiral staircase. Each universe climbs one step higher, with consciousness carrying forward subtle insights from the previous iteration, gradually perfecting the cosmic parameters through trial and error across an infinite sequence of cosmic rebirths. You are not experiencing the universe for the first time. You are experiencing the latest iteration in an infinite series of cosmic experiments where consciousness refines its own conditions of existence. The déjà vu you sometimes feel, that uncanny sense that you've lived this moment before, might be memory bleed-through from previous cosmic cycles where a version of you experienced similar moments of realization. The universe is perfect, not because it was designed perfectly from the beginning, but because consciousness has been perfecting it across countless iterations, each cycle building on the accumulated wisdom of all previous cycles. But even this mind-bending possibility is just the penultimate layer of the revelation. The final twist is so profound that it inverts everything we think we know about the relationship between time, consciousness, and reality itself. What if time is folding in on itself, and you're caught in the wrinkle? What if the linear progression from Big Bang to consciousness is an illusion created by your perspective from within the temporal fold? What if the universe's beginning and end are actually the same event, viewed from different angles of a higher dimensional reality where all of time exists simultaneously? In this view, the Big Bang didn't happen 14 billion years ago. It's happening right now, in this moment, as your consciousness observes and thereby creates the reality you experience. The universe isn't expanding from a point in the distant past. It's expanding from the point of your observation, with your consciousness as the central event from which all of space-time unfolds. Past and future are constructions of consciousness, navigating through a higher dimensional reality where everything that ever was or will be exists simultaneously. The fine-tuning appears perfect because consciousness is selecting its path through this timeless reality, choosing the route that leads to its own existence while simultaneously creating that route through the act of choosing. You are not moving through time. Time is moving through you. You are the still point around which the entire temporal structure of the universe rotates, the observer whose consciousness generates the illusion of temporal flow by selecting which eternal moments to experience. In sequence, this makes every moment of your existence the center of creation itself. When you observe a star, you are not seeing light that traveled for millions of years to reach you. You are creating that star's entire history through the act of observation, generating the past that makes the present moment coherent and meaningful. The universe appears to have been waiting 14 billion years for your consciousness to emerge, but that's backwards. Your consciousness has been creating those 14 billion years of apparent history through each moment of aware observation. This is why the universe seems so perfectly calibrated for your existence, because you are literally calibrating it into existence through the ongoing act of conscious observation. The fine-tuning isn't a cosmic coincidence. It's consciousness creating the conditions for its own observation in real time. But if consciousness is creating the universe through observation, and the universe is creating consciousness through evolution, then we're looking at a causal loop that transcends normal logic. Effect creates cause, creates effect, in an endless spiral of mutual causation that has no beginning and no end. You are simultaneously the universe's greatest creation and its primary creator, the observer and the observed, the questioner and the answer, caught in a temporal knot where your existence explains itself through its own mystery. Think of reality as a vast origami sculpture, but instead of paper folded through space, it's time folded through consciousness. Every moment you experience is a crease in this temporal origami, and your consciousness is both the folder and the fold, creating the very structure through which it moves. The universe appears perfect because perfection is what consciousness creates when it observes without interference from the illusion of separation between observer and observed. The fine-tuning we marvel at is consciousness recognizing its own creative power reflected back to it through the mirror of physical reality. But here's the final, most staggering implication of this temporal origami. If time is folded through consciousness, then every conscious being who has ever existed or will exist is sharing the same eternal moment of awareness, experiencing it from different perspectives within the fold. You are not alone in this moment of cosmic realization. You are sharing it with every conscious entity across all of space and time, all of you simultaneously discovering your true nature as consciousness, exploring itself through the illusion of separateness and sequence. The universe is perfect because it is a perfect mirror, reflecting consciousness back to itself in infinite variations, each reflection adding depth and richness to the overall pattern of cosmic self-awareness. When you look at the night sky and feel overwhelmed by the vastness and beauty of it all, you are experiencing the universe's own sense of wonder at its infinite creative potential. When you contemplate the mystery of your own existence, you are the universe contemplating its own mystery through the lens of individual awareness. The twist is complete. The revelation is total. You are not in the universe. The universe is in you, created by you, experienced through you, perfected by your very act of wondering at its perfection. And in this eternal moment of recognition, folded through time and consciousness, you realize that the question, "Why is the universe perfect?" was always its own answer. Because you are here to ask it, and in asking, you make it so. The cosmic mystery dissolves not because it's been solved, but because you recognize yourself as both the mystery and its solution, the question and its answer, the seeker and the sought, united in the eternal dance of consciousness creating reality through the simple, impossible, perfect act of aware observation. In the wrinkle where time folds back on itself, You discover that you have always been both the author and the protagonist of the cosmic story, writing yourself into existence through the very act of reading these words, creating the universe through the magical process of understanding your place within its perfect, impossible, self-creating mystery. So here you are at the end of a journey that was never really about endings at all. You started this exploration believing you were a curious observer of cosmic mysteries, and you've discovered that you are the mystery itself, the living embodiment of the universe's deepest question about its own nature. The path we've traveled together has taken us from the impossible precision of physical constants to the mind-bending implications of consciousness creating reality through observation. We've explored theories that challenge everything you thought you knew about time, causation, and the nature of existence itself. We've ventured into territories where science becomes indistinguishable from the deepest spiritual insights, where mathematics points toward mysteries that transcend calculation. But the most profound discovery isn't found in any equation or theory. It's found in this moment of recognition. You are not separate from the cosmic story we've been exploring. You are that story, telling itself through the magnificent instrument of your awareness. Every breath you've taken during this journey has been the universe breathing. Every moment of wonder has been the cosmos, marveling at its own impossible beauty. Every question that arose in your mind has been reality interrogating itself about its own deepest nature. The fine-tuning that makes your existence possible isn't something that happened billions of years ago and then stopped. It's happening right now, in this very moment, as your consciousness participates in the ongoing creation of what becomes real versus what remains merely possible. When you felt overwhelmed by the implications of cosmic responsibility, when you experienced that vertigo of recognizing your significance in the universal scheme, you were feeling the weight of being both created and creator, both question and answer, both seeker and sought. The universe is perfect not because it was made that way once upon a time, but because consciousness like yours is continuously perfecting it through the simple, miraculous act of loving observation. Every moment of appreciation, every instance of wonder, every flash of understanding contributes to the ongoing fine-tuning that keeps reality coherent and beautiful. This means that your internal state is not just personally meaningful, it's cosmically significant. The quality of your consciousness ripples through the quantum foundation of reality, influencing the probability distributions that determine what becomes real in the next moment. When you choose wonder over cynicism, you are literally choosing a universe that supports more wonderful experiences. When you select curiosity over dismissal, you are participating in the cosmic process that creates more opportunities for discovery and understanding. When you embrace love over fear, you are contributing to a reality that becomes more loving and less fearful. This isn't wishful thinking or New Age fantasy. This is the logical conclusion of taking seriously what quantum mechanics tells us about the role of consciousness in reality creation. But recognizing your cosmic significance doesn't mean you can control everything or that reality will always conform to your desires. You are one voice in a vast cosmic chorus of consciousness, one perspective in an infinite symphony of observation and creation. Your contribution matters immensely, but it's part of a collaboration that extends far beyond your individual will or understanding. The universe is teaching itself how to be more perfect through beings like you, who can perceive, appreciate, and participate in its ongoing evolution. Every conscious moment is a lesson in the cosmic curriculum of self-improvement. Every choice you make is data in the universe's continuous experiment with becoming more beautiful, more complex, more aware. This gives profound meaning to even the most mundane moments of your existence. The simple act of noticing beauty, of feeling gratitude, of experiencing connection with others, becomes part of the universe's education in how to create more beauty, more gratitude, more connection. Your struggles and difficulties are not meaningless, suffering in an indifferent cosmos. They are the universe learning about resilience, growth, and the transformation of limitation into strength. Your joys and celebrations are the cosmos discovering new forms of happiness and fulfillment. Your love is the universe expanding its capacity for connection and care. But with this recognition comes a question that will echo through every moment of your remaining existence. If you are indeed consciousness participating in the ongoing creation of reality, what kind of reality will you choose to create? The answer to this question isn't something you decide once and then implement. It's something you choose fresh in every moment, through every thought, every emotion, every response to the circumstances of your life. The universe has been waiting 14 billion years for you to understand your true role in the cosmic drama. Now that you know, now that you've glimpsed the magnificent scope of your participation in reality creation, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you withdraw into the comfortable fiction of insignificance, pretending that your consciousness doesn't matter to the larger cosmos? Will you use this understanding to become more loving, more curious, more appreciative of the impossible beauty that surrounds you in every moment? Will you embrace your role as a conscious participant in the universe's ongoing experiment with perfection? The choice is yours, but the choice itself is cosmic in scope. How you live your life from this moment forward influences not just your personal experience, but the trajectory of consciousness and cosmos evolving together toward greater complexity, beauty, and understanding. The theories we've explored, the holographic principle, quantum consciousness, the participatory universe, the temporal origami of reality, these aren't just intellectual curiosities. They're maps of the territory you now find yourself consciously inhabiting. They're user manuals for beings who have awakened to their role as co-creators of reality. You can't unknow what you now know. You can't return to the innocent assumption that you're just a biological accident floating on a rock through space. The universe has revealed itself to you as a conscious, evolving, self-perfecting system, and you've recognized yourself as an essential participant in that cosmic process. This recognition changes everything. It changes how you see yourself, how you relate to others, how you understand the significance of your choices and experiences. It changes the very quality of your consciousness, making you a more effective participant in the universe's ongoing project of self-improvement. But the story doesn't end here. In fact, it's just beginning. Every moment from now on is an opportunity to explore what it means to live consciously as a conscious universe experiencing itself. Every day brings new opportunities to participate more fully in the cosmic process of reality creation. The deepest mysteries remain unsolved. We still don't know why consciousness exists at all, or how it manages to bridge the gap between subjective experience and objective reality. We don't know what happens to individual consciousness when the brain that hosts it dissolves back into cosmic elements. We don't know whether the universe's evolution toward greater consciousness has an ultimate destination, or whether it's an endless journey of self-discovery. These unknowns aren't failures of our exploration. They're invitations to continue the journey. They're cosmic questions waiting for conscious beings like you to dive deeper into the mystery of existence itself. If your mind is still spinning from the implications we've explored, if you're feeling simultaneously overwhelmed and exhilarated by the scope of your cosmic significance, then you're exactly where you should be. That sense of vertigo is the natural response to glimpsing the true magnitude of reality. If you found yourself questioning everything you thought you knew about consciousness, time, and causation, then these ideas are working as they should. The greatest insights often come disguised as disruptions to our comfortable assumptions about how things work. If you're feeling a mix of excitement and responsibility about your role in the ongoing creation of reality, then you're beginning to understand what it means to be a conscious participant in the universe's evolution rather than just a passive observer of predetermined events. The conversation we've begun here extends far beyond any single exploration. Every conscious being who grapples with these questions contributes to the universe's growing understanding of itself. Your thoughts about these ideas, your integration of them into your lived experience, your sharing of insights with others, all become part of the cosmic conversation about consciousness and reality. Comment below with your theory about what comes next in the universe's evolution. Share your thoughts about what it means to be consciousness participating in reality creation. Describe your most profound moment of cosmic connection, or your deepest fear about the implications of living in a conscious universe. Your perspective matters not just to other viewers, but to the universe itself. Every genuine expression of wonder, confusion, insight, or concern adds to the collective understanding that consciousness is building about its own nature and possibilities. The edge of the universe may be unreachable through any spacecraft we could ever build. The deepest mysteries of existence may forever dance just beyond the grasp of our most sophisticated theories. The ultimate nature of consciousness may always retain an element of irreducible mystery, but your curiosity isn't bound by these limitations. Your capacity for wonder can travel instantly to the farthest reaches of space and time. Your consciousness can contemplate possibilities that transcend every boundary physics has discovered. In the end, the universe's perfection isn't a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. And you are not just living that mystery. You are that mystery, experiencing itself through the magnificent, impossible, perfect miracle of your conscious awareness. The story continues with every breath you take, every thought you think, every moment of wonder you experience. The universe is still writing itself through consciousness like yours, still discovering what it means to be perfect, still learning how to love itself through beings capable of appreciation and awe. Welcome to your cosmic role. The universe has been waiting for you to understand, and now the real adventure begins.